welcome back to the second day of the PROSIN conference. Hope you all had an enjoyable evening yesterday. And also to announce, if you don't know, it's the 10th year of the PROSIN conference, which has been held for the process industry. So, especially welcome also to those following us on the so-called World Wide Web. And we have 3 hubs, which we will introduce later. And also, at the end, Ruth Astrid Sæther, which will guide us through the day.
Thank you, Lars Petter, and congratulations once again on the jubilee of the conference. The topic this year is circular economy, again.
Again.
Why?
We are very fond of circular economy. No, it's actually this. There are several reasons for this, and as you will see later today, we will present the Process 21 Circular Economy Report, which is really built from the process industry. And additionally, there is also the ongoing work which the government has on the strategy for circular economy. And I think it's important that businesses and industries give the necessary input to that work.
The circumstances for this year's conference are a bit different than last year. But COVID-19 also brings some opportunities to us, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Yeah. We have 3 hubs. Our colleagues throughout Norway in both the process industry and the recycling businesses. So we are in Mo i Rana, Grenland, and in Oslo.
Should we meet them?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So where do we go first?
We go to Mo i Rana.
And in Mo i Rana, we will find Ellen Myhrvold and Jan Gabor and Monica Paulsen. So are you with us? Ah, there you are. Ellen, how are you doing this morning? Hi.
Hello. Here in Mo i Rana, we're doing very fine, and Monica and Jan is right outside here, and you will meet them later on.
Cool.
So my name is Ellen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you're Ellen Myhrvold, and you're the leader of the Arctic Cluster team, or actually the chairperson of that team.
Yes.
So tell us, what is your focus?
Well, in the Arctic Cluster team, we really, really like circular economy.
Everyone does.
Yeah, we seem to do. Well, we want to develop this as a foundation for the sustainable industrial growth in ACT. That's one of the core things that we want to focus on. The tools we develop today will be foundation for the sustainable tomorrow. And one of the building blocks for a sustainable future is actually circular economy, because we all know that raw materials is not an indefinite thing in our world. So to secure future generations, we really need to find a way to reuse these very important raw materials for the industry.
Good.
So that's why we really like circular economy.
I think that's a very good reason as well. Well, thank you very much, Ellen. We're going to meet you later on today, so I'm just going to say goodbye for now. And Lars Petter, where are we going next?
We are going to Grenland, so not too far away. And we see you already, a group of people, our colleagues in the process industry.
Hello, Anne.
We are the largest industrial region in Norway, hosting companies like Yara, Ineos, Eramet, and Heidelberg. And today we're gathered here in the basement of Hydro's old plant at Herøya. It's dated more than 90 years back, and we're very pleased to be part of the PROSIN conference. And we would like to celebrate your 10th year's anniversary with hooray from Porsgrunn.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Within social distance, but a great hooray. That's perfect. Thank you very much. So the third one is in Oslo, where we have a new kid on the block.
Yes, well, they have been for a long time, but I think it's important that we join forces in the recycling business and process industry. So we have Cecilie Lind from Avfall Norge in Oslo.
Yeah, that's the Norwegian Waste Management and Recycling Association. And Cecilia, I said that you were the new kid on the block, and you are definitely, because you started your work as CEO 1 week ago. So congratulations on the new job. Could you tell us in short the focus of Avfall Norge? You have to unmute yourself, Cecilia. So if you can do that and restart, please.
Some technician will help.
Yeah.
Yes,
Works
you're
now.
on.
Okay, we have sound now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, in short, we represent the waste industry in Norway. Our 200 members handle about 80% of the waste generated on a yearly basis. We strongly believe that secondary raw materials is the future, and we work continuously every day for a circular economy. And in regards to the process industry, you might look at us as a friendly neighbor in the value chain and a cohabitant.
Cool. So we're going to get back to you later on as well, Cecilia. So this far, we're going to say bye for now, and we'll come back to them. So a great applause to the three hubs. And thank you also to Lars Petter. I'm going to leave you to enjoy the conference so far. So thank you to Lars Petter.
Thank you very much.
Now, we're going to start in a moment. It's just one thing before we begin. I'm going to encourage all of you, physically and digitally present, to be active during the next 2.5 hours. And as yesterday, the way to do that is to use the tool of Slido. So what you should do is to open a browser on your mobile or your computer and enter slido.com, as you can see on the screen. The code that you're going to enter today is PROSIN, as yesterday, and this is a forum where you can ask questions. Now, the smart thing about Slido is that you all are the ones determining what the relevant and most important questions are to be asked. And the way you do that is by clicking like on a question that you think is relevant and important to convey to the panelists or the speakers, instead of writing a similar question once or twice or even 3 times. And that's going to help me out as well, sorting things out. So I hope that you will help me out with that and be active. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on Slido. I'm going to monitor the forum as we go along. Now, let's dive into today's program. Process 21, or P21, is a forum appointed by the Norwegian government, consisting of experts from the Norwegian process industry. These experts are working together to give recommendations on how to reduce emissions from the industry in parallel with sustainable growth. The forum started their work in 2018, and they've already published several reports, including the one mentioned by Lars Petter on circular economy, and we're going to get to that in a while. First, I would like to invite Hans Erik Vatne to the stage. He's vice chair of the steering committee at P21. So Hans Erik, you can join me on stage. He's also senior vice president and chief technology officer at Hydro, where he has worked all his life, as he told me. So Hans Erik, welcome and good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Now, the goals for your industry are quite demanding. On one hand, you're supposed to reduce emissions, and on the other hand, you're going to continue to create values. How are you doing so far?
Well, I think we're doing quite well.
Okay.
Yes, what we've been very good at, I think, is to create engagement and involve people. Through the work that we do with expert groups, we engage a lot of people. Also, these groups having a lot of workshops. So I think this has been well integrated throughout our whole industry. And this has not been difficult. It's quite easy to engage and motivate people when the target is what it is. Combining value creation and growth with sustainability. I think that makes a purpose for people. So it has been quite easy, I would say, to engage people. That being said, it's a tremendous task that we have.
Yeah, I was going to say that, because this is an industry that accounts for quite quite a huge number of emissions.
Yes.
So the potential is great as well then.
Yes, and I think it's fair to say that these emissions, they are probably some of the most difficult and expensive to abate, our direct CO2 process emissions. So it's not an easy task at all, but we are gathering the experts. Yeah, we like challenges, so I think this works out quite well.
Yeah. So what would you say are the most efficient instruments? Is it regulations, taxes, fees, or is it financial support in R&D?
That's
the whip or the carrot?
That's really not an either-or. I think we need both. Regulations, well, keep in mind the Norwegian process industry has a very important and strong global position. With our renewable energy, it makes a lot of sense to produce our products in Norway. Now, if we put too tough regulations in Norway, we will have carbon leakage. So production will be moved to countries where the CO2 emissions would be much higher due to using coal as a source for the power and also less efficient production technology. So I think, yes, regulations are important. For example, public procurement is very important. If authorities, when they procure, and in Norway they procure a lot, if they put tough CO2 criteria on that, well, this will be very important in driving green products that we think is a great advantage of our industry. But then, on the other hand, we also need support when it comes to R&D, to piloting. We talked a lot yesterday about battery and the battery value chain, which is a fantastic opportunity for the Norwegian process industry. We have related competence and, to some extent, raw materials. So that is one of the most interesting growth areas. But we are not battery experts today in Norway. So in this area, we need support when it comes to R&D, when it comes to piloting and establishing this new type of industry for us. So it's really a combination of this, I'm afraid. It's not a straight, simple answer to that.
As always, always complex.
Yeah.
So where would you say that the greatest growth potential is for your industry? Is it in batteries and development?
Yeah, well, I was part of an expert group working on product development. And very interestingly, this group, the main conclusion was it's really green products in general that is a huge opportunity for our industry, whether that's green aluminum or other products. So producing green products made on renewable power and also the best available technology, that's a huge opportunity. I think batteries is just one example of what that could be. I'm quite sure that the battery value chain is very interesting for Norway. I think we should take a position there. We have all the conditions, the prerequisites for doing that, competence, culture, also the public funding schemes are decent and good, so I think that would make a lot of sense. But no, it's huge global competition, so it really requires a lot to do it. But I think, well, we should go for that, and I think we'll be able to do that.
Sustainability is at the core.
Yeah.
And how can you ensure, for instance, a battery value chain in a sustainable manner? Because not all parts of that value chain are sustainable as of today. No.
And I think we have been very focused on our renewable power, which is, of course, really the core and very basic for everything we're doing. So we need to be sure that we utilize that power in Norway, make products that the world needs. So that's really fundamental, and we need to assure that. Then, of course, in battery, you have the challenges related to raw materials, in particular the cobalt and Congo and all these things that we all know. So I think Norway hasn't really a lot of tradition in mining. But we heard that yesterday, at least in the Nordics, there are opportunities to mine some of these materials in a more sustainable way. So I think it's really to go through the value chain and see to it that we make these processes in a better, more consistent way than the others. And we have this opportunity that not so many have. But no, you need to be very conscious, and we need to collaborate. even for a big company like Hydro, it would be too big step to go into this. We need to collaborate, companies and also with authorities.
Let's get back to P21 for a moment, and you have a slide behind you there that I know that you would like to talk a little bit about. So what are the activities going on at P21 at the moment?
I mentioned our way of working is really these expert groups that also engages a lot of people. So some of these have already finished their work. Some are intensely working on this.
On a deadline?
Oh yes, there's a deadline. So, and this process will end at the end of this year. Then we'll make the final report that will be presented to the Minister of Trade and Industry. And that will happen probably in December this year. So everything is now aligned towards that date. But of course, it will not stop there. Then the next half year, we will be around and talk and spread our messages. And I think that's probably as important. If we just make a report and put that in a drawer, it doesn't give much value. So all of us need to be active, being out there, talking at conferences and with stakeholders to spread our mission.
Yeah, on your mission. Yeah. A thing that I know that you like to talk about is aluminium.
Yeah,
that is close to your heart, and it's a metal that fits very well to today's topic, actually. Yeah. Would you like to give us a couple of words about Hydro Circle?
Well,
Circle,
yeah. Well, 2 words. Then I would actually give 2 numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, and those would be 5 and 75. And you know why?
I guess that you use 5% of the energy to recycle instead of 75% from raw material.
Well, almost spot on. Yeah. When you recycle aluminium, you only need 5% of the energy compared to producing virgin or primary metal.
Yeah.
So that's the 5. The 75, 75% of all aluminium that is ever made in the world history is still in use, exactly because it's taken back, remelted, recycled, and you can do that over and over and over again. So, and that's the fantastic story about aluminium recycling. It's really a nice story. And our Circle product, there we certified, guarantees 75% of post-consumer scrap. Mm-hmm. So that's really old products from cars or whatever that have been out there, done their mission, and then taken back through scrap dealers, remelted and reused. So 75% of that. And I think that's been a great story for Hydro. We are able now to sell these products mainly in the building industry for a higher margin than virgin metal. So, and I think this gives a strong indication. Yeah. Consumers, house builders, architects, they are concerned about this thing. They want to see a change in this direction, and they are actually willing to pay more for these products, which I think is great, and that's promising for the circular economy.
And that is the perfect transition to the next topic on the program, which is the report on circular economy. So, Hans Erik Vatne, thank you so far, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to move into the fresh out of the press report on circular economy published by the expert group. And who better to tell us about the recommendations from this group than the leader of the group herself? When she's not busy making these 19 experts of the group work together, Katrina Ness is Senior Vice President of Productivity System at Yara. She told me that leading this group has been a pleasure. And I suspect part of that joy of that work has been linked to documenting the circular initiatives within the industry, because they are many and numerous. So, Katrina is going to give us the most important headlines from the report. But first, we're going to screen a short film, putting us in the right circular mood, so to speak, as a reminder of what this is all about. So don't forget, you can ask Katrina Ness questions during her presentation. But first, let's watch a film.
In the next 2 minutes, we will explain to you what circular economy is, why we should care about it, and how circular processes affect us all. The transformative climate changes we now face demand that we design, produce and consume in completely new ways, The Norwegian process industry is already making progress. Energy and materials are reduced and reused. New methods are implemented to lower greenhouse gas emissions and to utilize our resources in even smarter ways than before. For instance, did you know that dust can become a whole new source of income, or that almost all products made from oil can also be made from wood? We can create green fuel from CO2, which means that waste can be of great value to many of our companies. Responsible consumption and production is one of the UN Sustainable Development Goals and is high on the global agenda. The Norwegian process industry plays an important role in the green transformation. Greater focus on circular economy will lead to opportunities for increased value creation, competitiveness, and exports. It is, however, important to understand circular processes in a larger context. Circular economy is a holistic system where we create value across sectors, businesses, and consumers. And we will all have the opportunity to influence and make a difference. In the years to come, a strategic approach will have positive impact on social development and our welfare model. Today, the Norwegian process industry is a world leader within sustainable practices, resulting in lower carbon footprints. But in order to reach the target of zero emissions by 2050, our entire society must become circular. To achieve our goals, we must work strategically, effectively, and sustainably. And above all, we must work together across industries and disciplines so that the circle can be completed.
I hope you enjoyed the film. The group and I are certainly pleased with that film. So reuse it as many times as you like. As you heard in the film, circular economy is a holistic system where we create value across sectors, businesses, and consumers throughout the whole value chain. Sadly, though, every year, 1/3 of all food produced in the world are just thrown away. And while 5% of Europe's population is malnourished, over 50% are overweight. If we continue like this, we will have consumed 3 planets by 2050. The younger generation get it. We need to change. Kate Raworth says that humanity's 21st century challenge is to meet the needs of all within the means of the planet. And she's absolutely right. And it should be possible because sustainability and profitability can go hand in hand. And the Norwegian process industry is already making great progress. For instance, did you know that Yara is working on recycling phosphate rock? A raw material that is one of the 27 critical raw materials that are crucial to Europe's economy. Or that NOAA is aiming to recycle salts from inorganic hazardous wastes. These recycled salts will become raw materials for other industries like plastics. Not to mention how 2 competing companies, Hydro and Alcoa, have come together to figure out how they can recycle spent pot lining, which today is a landfilled waste. When successful, the recycling of SPL will mean eliminating the by far largest landfill component from the Norwegian aluminum industry. And you can read many more inspiring cases in the report. So you see, we've done a lot already, but we still have much more to do. And in order to reach our overall climate goals, we need some help. The Federation of Norwegian Industries have, over the past year and a half, published 2 reports. And the expert group wants to highlight 4 of the proposed actions from these reports. First of all, it's important for Norway to take an active role in the EU's work to develop product environmental footprint methodology. It's important that we aim to make these PEFs as globally standardized as possible because we operate in international markets. We also need Norwegian legislation to be as adapted to the EU regulations as possible, which includes a harmonized practical application of these regulations across countries. In addition, we need public procurement to go green. We're talking about 500 billion kroners annually in Norway alone, which can be used to create a home market for green circular products. And finally, it's important to continue strengthening the focus of circular economy in the governmental funding agencies like Innovation Norway and Enova. Without it, Norway will never reach its target of being a pioneer in circular economy. The expert group has, in addition to that, also proposed 4 new actions. And I'll start with the sexiest one first, depreciation rates. Yes, I see you get that tingling feeling when depreciation rates are on the table. Jokes aside though, it can actually make or break a project's financials. We're therefore proposing to permanently increase depreciation rates on projects aimed to increase circularity or reduce greenhouse gas emissions. While the Norwegian process industry has steadily decreased its amount of ordinary waste throughout the past few years, the amounts of hazardous waste have unfortunately increased. We therefore see a need for support from the governmental funding agencies aimed particularly at these wastes because the challenges and costs of recycling something hazardous are much higher than with ordinary waste. We also see a need for more competency and better mapping of material systems. In order to figure out if my waste can be of value to you, we need to know the chemical compositions of these materials. We need effective physical and digital infrastructure, and we need network programs connecting businesses, clusters, municipalities, and regions to find more circular solutions. And in order to go the whole 9 yards, we recognize that we need more radical innovations. If we want different results, we can't continue doing the same things, right? So in order to pursue new business opportunities throughout the whole value chain, we need to move away from just producing basic standard products to also include services and new technologies. With that, we know that the industry can create more value with less resources. With these actions and more, we are certain that the Norwegian process industry will become an integrated part of a fully circular value chain. And in order to reach our target of 0 emission by 2050, our whole society needs to become circular. And we need great collaboration across disciplines and businesses in order to complete that circle. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina, for that very thought-provoking and interesting and pretty precise and clear introduction and presentation. You are calling on some political instruments here. You mentioned higher depreciation rates, for instance. Have you done any kind of cost-benefit analysis of this? I mean, how much it's going to cost to make such a scheme?
Unfortunately, no. So with the time that we had for this report, so we didn't have the resources to do that kind of analysis. So recognizing, of course, that that is a factor There is never such a thing as a free lunch. But we do believe that with these instruments and more, the gains will offset the costs.
Precisely. And regarding that, there's a question from the audience. In the video, it's stated that circular process industry is reducing raw material use. Do you have any specific examples and or numbers showing this?
Not numbers in particular, and that quote was linked to the fact that recycling will mean less use of virgin raw materials. Not necessarily that the amount of raw material in total will go down, but more of a shift to secondary raw materials, which is a great opportunity, but still also is quite challenging because it's not always easy getting the same quality out of a secondary raw material than we get today by primary or virgin raw materials.
And it's quite expensive as well, isn't it?
Unfortunately, yes. So cost is a huge roadblock in order to make the full transition.
You mentioned radical innovations, and of course wanting radical innovation is easy to say, but actually doing it, it's difficult to decide to be innovative.
Yeah.
What kind of instruments are going to motivate that kind of development?
You know, so going into this work, so I didn't know that much about circular economy, but I have picked up on a thing or two during this work, learning a lot from the great members of the expert group. If there are two things I'm going to point out, it's that one, you really do need to have that system approach to circular economy, looking at the whole value chain so in order to be successful, which gives my second point, you need to find new kids to play with. The collaboration that we need along the whole value chain means you might need to find some partners that you in the past haven't been collaborating with.
So what kind of kids could that be?
Well, I mean, anyone that can be that provocative force, or to challenge you to think more disruptively about what you're doing today. Because as I said before, if you want different results, you can't continue doing the same things. And we're far away from being a fully circular society today.
But do you believe full circularity is at all realistic? Or even desirable?
That's a better question, because so we have to be cautious not to make circularity a goal in itself, because it isn't. Circularity is just a means to meet an end, and that end is zero emissions. So, as an example, so it's not good for our society to recycle a product quickly when you in the design phase could have designed it to have a long-lasting life, right?
You said that you didn't know that much about circular economy before you started this work, but in the process you've learned a lot, and you mentioned a couple of examples. These examples and these success stories aren't necessarily common knowledge to people. Why is that? Because the industry is obviously doing a lot of interesting things. Why don't we know about them?
Why indeed? The Norwegian process industry are terrible storytellers. I mean, there are so many great things going on in every single company, in every single industry. But we just do it and don't tell anyone about it. So we need to challenge ourselves to not necessarily brag, but because who likes a bragger? But so to tell the good stories, because so they are inspirational to others, and they are also shared learnings. So, you know, learning how so a competing company or a different industry have managed to become more circular can help you do the same.
One thing, though, that might help that is you mentioned the need for mapping.
Yes.
And that is already in process, isn't it?
It is. So, that's really great. Eide cluster to mention one, just received funds from the Norwegian government to do a pilot on mapping. And it's not just here in Agder, they're going to cover the whole country. I think Industrial Green Tech is doing something similar, so Irene might be talking about that later today.
So not bragging, but being proud is probably the message to this lot, and to start talking, not being too shy.
That's exactly it. So we are very focused on our challenges, which we should, because we are, call it, part of the problem, having 20% of the climate gas emissions in Norway, but we're also part of the solution. And that is something to be proud of, and we should talk more about that.
Absolutely, and we're going to do that. But so far, Katrina, we're going to say thank you to you, and we're going to continue the discussion. So thank you, Katrina Ness. So, the experts have spoken, their strategy is clear, and they're calling on the politicians for help. And let's find out if that help is now. It is time to call on the hub in Oslo, where I can see they're all ready. Cecilia, you are there, and you have 2 members of parliament with you as well. We can see, I'm going to have to turn around there, yeah. On the left, we see Ola Elvestuen from the Liberal Party, and on Cecilia's right hand, we see Espen Barth Eide from the Labour Party, both members of parliament. And they're ready to discuss. So good morning to you guys. Hello. And while you're saying hello, please, dear audience, remember you can still participate in the discussion through Slido, and the code is PROSIN. So don't be shy, don't be too Norwegian. So we're going to start discussing, and I'm going to start with the lady in the panel, Cecilia. In this setting, you're representing the industry. And to what sense do you feel the expert report answers to the challenges and the opportunities the process industry is facing when it comes to circular economy?
Well, I certainly see that we are facing many of the same challenges. The markets for secondary raw materials is not functioning well. The legislation is not supporting the circular economy. And public procurement, it's not yet the engine that it really should be. Hazardous waste is certainly one of the major challenges we have when creating a circular economy. But we still live in what I like to call the age of the plastics. So this tends to be neglected, at least on the political agenda. Øyvind Leistad in Enova yesterday had an article in Teknisk Ukeblad where he called for more renewables in the process industry. And if we include recyclables in renewables, I think he's got a point. And we certainly would like to see more of the resources from our industry used also in the process industry.
So what do you expect from our politicians, namely the ones that you have next to you?
My expectations are high, of course. No, I'm hoping for some specific and concrete answers and goals, and not just more talk about the wonderful idea of circular economy, but what are we actually going to do, and what do they want in the future?
Cool, let's challenge them. So, Ola Elvestuen, you were Norway's Minister of Climate and Environment from January 2018 until January this year, and you've been heavily involved in the work on a national strategy for circular economy, a strategy which is due in December this year. Now, the ambition of today's government of Norway is for the country to be, and I quote, a pioneer in the development of a green circular economy that makes better use of resources. Cecilie was pretty clear. She's challenging you to be concrete and specific. So what do you think of the recommendations from the expert group that we just heard? Can you make any promises on behalf of your government as of now?
Well, I think that we have been concrete, because as you mentioned, that we set the goal also in the government platform that I negotiated in myself, that we should be a leading nation, and that's in circular economy. And now we have to develop the different strategies to get into that point, and we have to become part of, as close as we can, to the European Green Deal. And when it comes to the recommendations, I think we have started also. You mentioned the support for Eide-klyngen that is there to look at the mapping, that we have looked at also. If you look at the whole finance system that has been there, all the way from what in Norwegian is the environment technology. What can I say? The systems within Innovation Norway, that has been strengthened in many years and was also strengthened this spring. That we've done with the Enova, and also with when it comes to research, we've also strengthened that throughout the years. And also this spring, you put in, I think it was in euros, it would be 100 million euros over 3 years, also to develop industry in a more environmental and circular way. And I think to look at the goals that we have, I mean, we have our climate goals, and we have become closer also to the EU to reach our goals to reduce by 50% by 2030. That is a hard and tough goal to reach. We are strengthening also our work on the other catastrophe that we have in our world, that we're losing nature. And the goal is really to have a global market economy within the boundaries of nature. That is what we have to reach. And really, because nothing else makes economic sense. And the process industry is one part of this. In Norway, I think we have because of our renewable energy, we are definitely in front on reducing emissions, but to look at the whole value chain and to reuse of the different parts there we have a long way to go. And was also mentioned there when it comes to hazardous waste. Last year, me and I put down a expert group on how to handle hazardous waste and also to reduce the amount of hazardous waste in Norway. So I think if you look from 2018 and up until today, there's a lot happening. There's a lot that is going on. But as everyone else, I think that politically we don't really know where the goal is. We just know that we have to do a lot. And it's important that we are moving forward. And then we have to develop both the policies and develop also the projects as we go along. Yeah. Public procurement also is where we are moving on to be more, to get a better policies on that.
Okay, so thank you for that, Ola. And you've mentioned a couple of the things that Katrina was talking about, but I was interested in this point of the higher depreciation rates, which apparently was making people tingle a little bit. So is that on the table as a financial instrument for this industry?
I think before I can say yes or no, you have to look at where the finance minister, I think. But high depreciation rates, I am concerned on many areas. It's important to look at where are the blocks that are there, so that we're not moving forward. This could be one area where we also have to look at differences. But I cannot promise that is somewhere we will go. But if that is an area where it's a stumbling block to move forward, that's definitely interesting.
So thank you so far, Ola, because I would like to give the word as well to your fellow member of parliament, Espen Barth Eide. Now, you represent the Labour Party and you're their spokesperson of energy and environment. And I know that you're pro-circularity as well. Well, who wouldn't be today? But you don't necessarily agree on the way to get to the goal. And maybe you can redefine the goal as well for us if you want. You told me that you want a more targeted industrial policy. What do you mean by that, Espen?
So I think that what we need now, I mean, first I want to say congratulations on this conference, and circular economy is really the way to go. There are no tremendous potential for Norwegian process industry. Time is really ripe for doing these things because there is a market out there that is changing fast. The European Green Deal will fundamentally transform the key elements of the main market of all Norwegian exports, which is Europe. And this is happening fast, and we better catch up with this. So there's a great potential, but there's no time to waste. So that's sort of the opening message. And I strongly believe that in order to give the green shift a real push, we need more targeted industrial policy. Some decades ago, we kind of all of us, social democrats and conservatives and liberals alike, we kind of retracted a little bit, and we thought the market was best on its own, and we could then make sure we had health and education for people, but let's see what the market comes up with and give them some mild stimuli. I think we need a more active policy, putting very clear goals on where we want to go. And what I want to do is that we, together with industry, set very clear, definable and measurable goals on how we achieve genuine green growth. That means economic growth, more money to distribute, but where the green dimension, exceeds the economic growth. What does that mean? Carbon productivity has to increase more than the economic growth. That means less carbon emission per unit produced or per service delivered. Resource productivity has to increase more than the economic growth. That means less virgin raw material, less new raw material per unit produced or service delivered. And energy productivity, same thing. This is an old dream. Today, it's perfectly possible and actually happening. And then every industry agrees that these are the targets. This is the path we want to move through, and then we politicians, we tweak the tax system, the R&D policies, the incentive structure in a very deliberate way in order to enhance the probability and the economic argument for actually do this in every single business. What I'm saying now is developed in a major report that I contributed to together with several parties in the opposition under the think tank agenda as auspices for the details. But there's some very concrete thinking going on now on how you can be much more specific in not only having strong goals, but also look at how you can achieve them year by year. Why would we want to do this? We want to do this because we have a climate crisis, but also a nature crisis. We are living today as if we have several planets. We actually, for the moment, still have only one, and we're still searching for another, and I think will take some time. So let's do with the one we have. But also because it makes sense. Today, because of what's happening here, and even more so out in Europe and eventually in other parts of the world, the right thing to do from a moral perspective is also the smart thing to do from a purse perspective. As Hydro illustrated, if you can produce more recycled aluminium, and when you produce new aluminium, you do it practically without emissions, the probability that German premium car makers buys your aluminium is higher, because they know that the customers who want their new fancy electric cars will ask, what is the carbon history of this product? So it actually means there will be a premium in the market. But we compete with a lot of other smart people. There's intelligent life outside Norway. Sorry to say, I know it's controversial, but I think it is. And these people, even the Swedes are working on this. They might beat us. So we better get up to the game and try to hit this emerging, much more climate-friendly European market in time. That's the future of Norwegian process industry.
But yesterday we were talking a lot about collaboration, and now you're talking as if this is a huge competition. Wouldn't a greater collaboration be better for all of us and for the planet as a whole?
Well, both. I mean, I like both. I mean, I'm a social democrat and pro-collaboration. I think it's good that people share and you find good, through industrial strategies, through partnership between businesses, through a strong, active government, that are creating the foundations for good sharing. That's a good thing. But competition is also good. I want young, modern engineers to want to be the best in class in doing this, because that's actually, we know that kind of incentive drives the world. And a very close friend of mine who is a professor of innovation at the Copenhagen Business School, she told me that, some years ago, when you said, why do you study innovation? People say, well, it's to earn more money. Today, it's to be in the lead in this green shift, because this is sort of the new cool to really be on board of that. So I think a solid solid competition on top of solid cooperation and collaboration and sharing, and to find the right balance is the way to go. The market is a great servant, but it's a bad master, and that's why we need more social democracy. And of course, it would be helpful if we now can change government next year, so we can have more focus on clear industrial policy and catch up with international trend, which is to leave Washington consensus behind and set clear and definable targets.
Right. So yeah, the general election is next year, but I can see that Ola, you were smiling a bit when Espen mentioned this. I would like you to comment on that. I guess you would claim that you have the better policy here.
Well, what is talking about is what we are doing. I mean, you just mentioned that just this year we are coming up with a strategy on circular economy. So these goals has been there in the government platform since 2018. We have set the goal. Yeah, but you have to start with goals, and then you have to develop the policy. So you have to have the ambition that we are to become a leading nation on the circular economy. You have to catch up to the European Union. Not all European countries are at the front, but some of them are way ahead of us. So we have to set that ambition, and we're working on it. And we're working every year on changing our rules and regulations also to move forwards towards the circular economy. When it comes to public funding, it's really a big shift for the last couple of years. And you can go on every support system that we have. It has been increased increased quite a lot. I think you do not find a better support system from research and development, and also all the way over until Enova. That's very important also we have in Norway. Yeah. But we have to look at if we need something new that is better connected to the circular economy. Yeah. Should it be changes within Enova, or do we need something new there? That is one concrete area that we have to look at. We have a program also in public procurement that is moving forward. And just as was mentioned, like mapping is an important area. And as you said, it's nothing that we're waiting for. You have the support from the Eide-klyngen already that is there. And you can go on to every single element where we are moving ahead. You can always say that it should be faster, but it really has gone much faster for the last couple of years than anyone had expected. And also, I can say one thing with this government is that you can be assured that you have a government that wants a close cooperation with the EU and the rest of Europe. There's no discussion about it, and we want to be as closely connected as we possibly can be with the European Green Deal. With a different government in Norway, that is definitely questionable.
Okay, well, I've noticed that Espen and Cecilie, they asked for, to get a comment at least twice, both of them. So I'm going to start with Espen. There's a certain impatience within the industry and also with you. And the finger that you pointed out came up the first time when Enova was mentioned. So go ahead. I think you have a different perspective on that.
First, so let me be clear, Ola Elvestuen and I agree on a lot of things. I think we very largely share the same goals, and we want to get to the same place. And Ola has done a lot in order to achieve that. So credit to him, this is not the problem. The discussion I raise is between the two sides of politics, because I actually hope that future political discussions will not be about whether climate change is happening, whether we would do something, but actually, how do we get there? And here, so I am a strong supporter of Enova and other support mechanisms. The problem is that we also need some kind of orchestration, because today it's like, I have a good idea, I have a project, I get some money, somebody else have a project, they get their project, and a lot of individually good things happening. But to really facilitate a major transformation, you need more of an orchestration of this. That's why I believe in missions. What Mariana Mazzucato, professor at Oxford University, speaks about all the time, and which is now really catching on in Europe, is missions. To define, for instance, let's say battery construction, battery cell production in Norway as a mission, and then say we want to increase that, let's say 1,000% in 30 years, in 10 years, which is not far-fetched, then we need these incentives and these structures and be very clear on where we're going. That's the political difference between saying, hey, market, good luck, I hope you will make this, or saying, hey, market, come with me because we want to have a shared plan. And that's the difference between the conservative side and the social democratic side of politics. And I think it matters. And when you look out to see what's happening out there, I mean, we talked about Europe, but look at the polls now. We may actually have a democratic victory in the US. We don't know. A lot of things can happen. But right now it's possible. That will introduce a Green Deal taking in the US. And the Democrats have spent a lot of time, not only Biden, but all of the younger Democrats, on how to redefine industrial policy in America, and it's going to be big time change. On top of that comes the more sad fact, the world is moving into a sort of two-polar economy again, but it looks like the future of the West is very much in taking the lead in stronger industrial policies for the green change, and we need to understand that and be on board. We're moving in the right direction, but not fast enough. We need more partnership between business and government.
Thank you, Espen, and thank you, Ola. And I'm glad to see that although you don't agree on everything, you agree on the basics here. And we will be looking forward to the electoral discussions that are coming and already starting, I can see. So, Cecilia, we are running out of time, but I'm going to let you have a 30-second last comment for us. So I know that you wanted to say something, so now you can do that and conclude in 30 seconds. There you go, Cecilia.
I'd just like to say that I think Ola is right about that we have set ambitions, but Espen is right about we need to set specific goals and we have to measure every year to see that we are actually moving forward. And then we need more mapping. Mapping is coming, but we need even more. There are more resources out there that we don't have the data on. When it comes to public funding, I'd like to stress that, and what Helena also said and Katrina said in the presentation of the report, that we need a system approach. So there's a huge difference between handling circular economy as an add-on and putting it as a prerequisite for public funding. So I think we need to look into that more closely in the future.
Well, thank you very much to all of you. And there were some questions on Slido. We actually didn't have the time because the discussion was going so well between the three of you. So thank you very much, Ola Elvestuen, Cecilie Lind, and Espen Barth Eide. And good luck with the work to come. Thank you very much. We will have a short break, and we're going to reconvene at a pretty peculiar time at 10:07 sharp. So just synchronize your watches, and for those out there on the great internet, you can stretch your legs, grab a coffee. Here at Føvik, I suggest we open the doors and get some fresh air in, and we'll see you again at 10:07.